She sent you a text with the picture of the baby. Your first response was what?
The baby look like he can be for Donald Trump.
Really?
I didn't expect that.
He thinks the color makes a difference.
You were right.
About what?
I cheated your
What?
friend.
That ain't nothing new. Oh, word? Really did that, man?
Yes, twice.
The night I came home.
I really did.
Man.
Yes, I cheated, Your Honor.
And it's his baby right here.
It is a possibility.
Oh.
These two are not the only men who claim to be my dad. There's also two other men, father.
What in the world?
Yeah. One of the men who claims to be our father, I know for a fact that he wasn't, and he literally just disappeared. I don't know where he went.
Just when you think it's a typical court day, bam! Plaintiff Ms. Thomas spills the tea about her whirlwind romance with defendant Mr. McKee that started online and quickly got very real. She's visibly shaken as she recounts how he bailed when she announced her pregnancy. Keep watching! The plot thickens from here.
Ms. Thomas, you and the defendant, Mr. McKee, met online dating website, and the conversation quickly jumped offline and in Mr. McKee's bed. You were in a committed relationship with the defendant and was devastated when he denied your pregnancy.
Next up, Mr. McKee throws a curveball by doubting he's the dad based on the kid's looks. This major plot twist has everyone's ears perked up as the paternity mystery deepens. What's next? Oh, it's good. Trust me.
That there is no way you could be the biological father of plaintiff's son, Carson. You claim once you took a look at Ms. Thomas's son, you were 100% sure her baby belonged to another man.
Oh boy, here comes the love story, or so Ms. Thomas thought. She details those cozy nights and long chats that made her think it was the real deal. But wait until you hear Mr. McKee's side. It's a classic, he said. She said scenario. The next part will have you rolling your eyes and laughing.
And then I started going to see him, maybe like a 45-minute drive from where I live, like every other day. So I'm assuming like I'm spending the night, staying the night with him.
You're having a good time, getting to know one another.
Yeah.
You all obviously, since you're spending the night, already started having sex. What did you like about him? What were you drawn to?
His look. He's not a bad looking person. He looks he's funny. He's hilarious. He keeps a smile on his face.
And here's where it gets even more tangled. The judge dives into Mr. McKee's fear of commitment while he plays it cool, claiming he wasn't all in. This dance of denial and confusion just adds more fuel to the fire. Watch out for what's coming. It's a doozy.
You having sex, having this relationship going, but feeling like making commitment.
I wasn't ready, Your Honor.
Say something else besides that. No, really, mister. Tell me about it, though. You know, a lot of times we're in situations like this where there are two people are on two different pages. Did you know Ms. Thomas wanted to be in a relationship with you?
Not really, Your Honor.
Grab your tissues, folks. Ms. Thomas recounts the heartbreak of her pregnancy reveal and Mr. McKee's ghosting act. It's a roller coaster of emotions with a blocked number and a whole lot of drama. But hang on, the emotional roller coaster takes a wild turn next.
So maybe like a couple weeks later, I say, let me take a pregnancy test. So I took a pregnancy test. I took a picture of it and I sent it to him through text message. I say, I'm pregnant. He's like, oh, okay, so whatever you decide to do.
I believe that's all he said. So, Mr. McKee, you found out she was pregnant. What were you thinking, sir?
She called me when she was like 3 months pregnant. I know I got a phone call. I was at work. I told her I'd call her back, but I ended up blocking her number.
Cue the laugh track. Mr. McKee compares the baby to Donald Trump, of all people. It's a hilariously awkward moment that lightens the mood, but scratches at deeper issues of identity and paternity. Don't go anywhere. The laughs and gasps keep coming.
She sent you a text with the picture of the baby. Your first response was what?
The baby look like he can be for Donald Trump.
Really?
I didn't expect that.
He thinks the color makes a difference. The color don't make a difference.
What you're saying is the baby was biracial? That's what you meant. So when you saw the baby, you said, that's not mine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any wilder, the judge calls out Mr. McKee for his, let's say, busy love life, revealing not one, but multiple baby mamas at the same time. This bombshell has the courtroom in stitches and disbelief. The grand finale is up next, and it's a shocker.
That's 3 paternity cases going at one time. These are babies.
Right.
These are people. It's not a sport.
I've been married. I'm a widow. So 4 of my kids was from my husband. It's not like I'm out here just sleeping around.
You'll never guess how this ends.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. McKee, you are not the father.
Serious?
He is not the father, Ms. Thomas.
All right, buckle up. The courtroom's already buzzing as we dive into Lusk versus Page. Ms. Lusk is here to prove that her 3-year-old Munchkin's dad was Ms. Page's son, who's sadly no longer with us. Hang tight because the drama's just getting started.
Ms. Lusk, you and your mother say you have no doubt whatsoever when it comes to knowing your 3-year-old daughter, Samari's biological father is. The man you claim is her father has died, and now find yourself facing off against his mother is just as convinced that she She is not your daughter's granddaughter.
Things are heating up. Ms. Page is dropping bombs of doubt, saying her son was all tied up with another lady, and Ms. Lusk was never on his radar. You'll want to stick around because the tea is about to spill.
Ms. Page, say there's no way in this world Ms. Lusk is being truthful. For starters, you contend your son was in a committed relationship with another woman, and until he passed away, you never heard of Ms. Lusk.
Grab your tissues. Ms. Lusk spills her heart out about tackling teen pregnancy and single motherhood. As she lays down her struggles, you can't help but root for her. And just when you think it can't get any heavier, there's more to come.
Pregnant at 16, having to still go through school. These past 4 years, everything has been on me and my mom. And I feel it's completely unfair because he has a whole other side. She has a whole other side. So my daughter is beautiful, and you missed out on 4 years. Not
Okay,
only
Ms.
me.
Lusk,
Not
everybody's
only
a
me.
single parent. You're not the
absolutely
only one.
correct, but you
It
were a
happens
single
every
parent
day.
as well.
Hold on,
by
let's get some
yourself.
order. Let's
You
get
raised
some
Desmond
order.
by yourself.
Here's the scoop. Ms. Lusk insists that Ms. Page's son is the daddy, and boy, is it messy with him not around to chime in. Strap in, because the roller coaster is heading to a wild turn.
You believe Ms. Page's son is her biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, her son is deceased, so this has been an eternity issue for the past 3 years related to this beautiful, precious little girl. And you're saying you need help.
They're out for money. I had insurance on
What
my
money?
son. I had an insurance policy. They're out for
That
money.
we knew nothing about.
Let her
That we
speak.
knew nothing
No.
about.
Whoa, things just got real gritty. Ms. Page accuses Ms. Lusk of eyeing a hefty insurance payout, which just complicates everything like a daytime soap opera. But hold on, the plot thickens even more from here.
You said you have an insurance policy.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so this insurance policy, in the amount of $50,000, admitted that paperwork to the court. Ms. Lusk is attempting to get a portion of that money.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's why she's claiming your deceased son is her child's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your
Your son was in a committed relationship.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Ms. Page is all kinds of shocked about the baby news, thinking it's all a big mix-up. The story twists and turns, and you won't believe what's next.
You asked to go to the school. Of course she wasn't showing. She was just pregnant.
You went to see Ms. Lusk at school?
Yes, I
Yes,
gave her
I went to see
permission.
her ask
They
to
had
talk to her
call
and
and
to
act.
find out what was going on. She didn't look. She was holding her head down. She had no whatsoever.
But at the same time, this was my first time meeting you. Her exact words were, "Look like his type. You're very pretty."
Miss Lusk
And
and
she
Miss
said the
Anderson, my
same
son didn't
thing.
have a relationship.
Hold your popcorn tight. Judge Lake is digging deep, asking if there's room in Ms. Page's heart for the little one. If the DNA test checks out, things are about to get super intense, so don't go anywhere.
Miss Page through Facebook to tell her to call, and that's when I broke the news to her about my daughter being pregnant by her son.
During that conversation, what was said?
The very first thing she said to me is, "My son is a legend." She seemed proud.
He's always gonna be a legend in my book.
She then had to say to me that her son had no reason to be doing whatever doing in his past, and
Everyone's on edge. The court is piecing together the deceased's love life to figure out if Ms. Lusk's story holds water. This detective work might just blow the lid off the whole case.
Were you aware in a relationship with Ms. Lusk? Were you aware may have had a child?
I have asked everybody. Nobody even know of Miss Lusk. Nobody.
Now, Ms. Lusk, I want to ask you, were you aware that Desmond was in another relationship with someone else?
No, Your Honor, I didn't find out until the day after his passing.
The moment of truth, no kidding.
The probability of relatedness between Ms. Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
Things are getting spicy. Ms. Lohman is crossing her fingers that Mr. Mitchell is the daddy-o of her little girl, aiming to lock down their family future. Meanwhile, Mr. Mitchell isn't so sure, and he's pretty blunt about it. If the DNA test says he's not the father, their next month's wedding is canceled. No ifs or buts. Just wait till you see what's up next. It's a doozy.
Ms. Lohman, you are in court today hoping and praying your fiance, Mr. Mitchell, is the biological father of your daughter, London. And you and your mother are here too. You say today's DNA results will determine the future of your family.
Bet you didn't see this coming. Ms. Lohman spills the beans on their backstory. They started as high school sweethearts, and things got real when Mr. Mitchell moved into her family's home to dodge a rough home life. Their friendship took a turn one fine day when he landed a kiss while she was still dating another guy. Oh boy, keep your eyes peeled for what happens after this confession.
We met when we were sophomores in high school. Junior year, we had a lot of classes, so we became really good friends. And, he started opening up to me and telling me, about his home life. Came from a very, very hard, difficult, terrible background. And I wanted him and save him from that. I went home and I spoke to my mother and my dad about it. I was like, can we do something about it? They were like, yeah, we'll help him.
Hold on to your popcorn. As they dig deeper in court, it comes out that Ms. Lohman was also hanging out with her ex-boyfriend around baby-making time. The plot thickens with overlapping love interests, stirring up a stew of daddy doubts for Mr. Mitchell. You'll crack up at the next twist.
But you're still in a relationship with this boyfriend time, am I correct, Ms. Lohman?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what was that situation like?
He never found out, and to this day, he still doesn't know.
He does not know to this day that you were also sleeping with Mr. Mitchell.
Right, Your Honor.
Was this just a one-time thing when you all ended up having sex, or did it continue?
It continued.
Were you using protection?
No, Your Honor.
Things just got real. Ms. Lohman breaks down the baby timeline, explaining her hookups with both Mr. Mitchell and her ex around conception. This juicy bit clears up some foggy dates and who might be the real daddy. You're not gonna believe the bombshell that drops next.
When I was about 6 weeks, I had went to the doctor and confirmed that I was pregnant. And then on my second doctor's appointment, I asked, do you have an estimate of when I conceived? Because they can't tell you the exact. And she told me I conceived somewhere between October 12th and October. And I got to looking back at the dates, and I had had sex with Mr. Mitchell more than I had sex with my ex. I had sex with Mr. Mitchell about every day and only once or twice with my ex.
Grab your tissues, folks. This part dives into the emotional roller coaster and complicated relationship web. Mr. Mitchell's cousin chimes in, worried he's being played. This family drama has more twists than a pretzel. And trust me, the big reveal is just around the corner.
So you basically believe Ms. Lohman has chosen Mr. Mitchell as the best of the two options.
Well, no, Your Honor, that is not correct. No, Your Honor, that is not correct. I love Mr. Mitchell with everything I have. I have been his best friend since the day when I met him. I love him not because he will take care of him. I love him because he is my best friend.
She doesn't treat me like she does, though.
Certainly doesn't talk to him like she does.
Here comes the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Mitchell, you are not the father.
Here we go, folks. Mr. Hamilton kicks off the courtroom drama with a zinger, asking for a lie detector test for Ms. Lombardi and a DNA test for the little one. He's pretty sure Ms. Lombardi stepped out during crucial baby-making time. The stage is set for a juicy showdown over who's the daddy and who's been naughty. Buckle up, this ride's just getting started.
You have petitioned the court lie detector test on Ms. Lombardi, as well as DNA testing regarding baby daughter. You say it is your belief defendant was unfaithful to you around the time of conception.
And bam, just like that, Mr. Hamilton drops a bombshell. He secretly tested their other 3 munchkins for paternity after Ms. Lombardi confessed to a little slip-up. With the stakes this high for the latest kiddo, the trust issues are off the charts. It's a full-blown soap opera in here, folks. Grab your popcorn, the next scene's a doozy.
I had to get our other 3 listed behind her back after she admitted to cheating with the first. You know, it was like, wow, there go the question right there. And with the baby in your question right now.
We should not have to be here, Your Honor. 4 kids. We should not have to be here for this one.
And where the doubt stands in that with this 4th one is where a case scenario.
Oh boy, here comes a curveball. Mr. Hamilton saw a buddy tiptoeing out of their apartment way past bedtime, sparking rumors of hanky-panky. Ms. Lombardi throws cold water on that hot gossip, but the crowd's buzzing. The plot thickens, and you won't believe the twist that's up next.
I see one of my buddies coming out my apartment.
Out your apartment?
2 in the morning, Your Honor. He's gonna tell me, bring some DVDs back that I let him borrow the week before. Go upstairs.
Not true.
I go upstairs, panties and a t-shirt, no bra. Wait.
I changed after he left.
Hold the phone, we've got more drama unfolding. In a cheeky move to catch Ms. Lombardi in a fib, Mr. Hamilton finds their never-used edible lotion half gone. Accusations fly like pies in a food fight, pointing fingers at secret lovers. This courtroom's turning into a circus, and there's more hilarity to come.
I go upstairs, because, it was a special day for us. And I bought that never was open, but I didn't taste it.
Your Honor, that is a lie.
Well, who ate the edible lotion?
It wasn't me. It had to been him with his little cheating episode.
Hey, she lied 24/7.
Here's a tearjerker moment, folks. Mr. Hamilton faces the music about treating their daughter Janae a tad differently because, well, he's got doubts. He swears he doesn't treat her differently, but feels weird about the whole thing. Emotional stuff right here, but hold your horses. The next part is even more jaw-dropping.
How does he treat Janae differently from the other two?
He won't take care of her. He will not help me with her. I asked to watch her for 10 minutes so I could go and finish dinner and help with her if she was crying.
I was getting ready for work.
From Janae because he's
That
Janae.
is a lie.
So our older, it's a
Gasp. Ms. Lombardi confesses to cheating with Mr. Hamilton's pal, throwing everyone for a loop. This bombshell might just explain the baby daddy drama, and suddenly, it's all making sense. They're heading straight for DNA testing to clear up this paternity pickle. The next clip is the big reveal, so don't go anywhere.
Well, this would be the time.
You were right.
About what?
I cheated your
What?
friend.
That ain't nothing new. Oh, word? Really did that, man?
Yes, twice.
The night I came on this?
I really did.
Man.
Yes, I cheated, Your Honor.
And it's his baby right here.
It is a possibility.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, ma'am.
You are her father.
Oh my God, I knew it! I told you!
Was I floored by the simple magic of social media? We dive into the tale of how a guy stumbled upon his potential daughter on Facebook thanks to a nudge from his brother back in 2015. The Room feels the weight of his discovery when he spots her profile, leaving him a weepy mess. This heart-tugging scene really hammers home the profound emotional punch these digital tools pack in reuniting long-lost kin.
How did you finally find?
I'm not tech savvy or anything like that. Took my brother in 2015, and we just sitting there talking one day in the living room. I'm always talking about them when they was, I said, I done tried this, I done tried that, whatever the case may be. You ever try Facebook? I put in Maryland and pop right up.
Well, this revelation just tossed everything up in the air. Kicking off, Marilyn wrestles with her disbelief over the man claiming to be her dad, mirroring her tangled web of family ties. Come enter Mr. Walls, another contender in the dad department. This part lays bare the knotty mesh of perceptions and relationships in families, caught up in the whirlwind of paternity mysteries.
When you got that message and it said, "This is your dad," did you feel like, I believe this?
Not at all.
What were you thinking?
I didn't think that he was my father at all.
The main thing came in.
So why did you decide to meet?
Because he was so sure. He was so adamant that he was my father. And I'm just like, I don't know my dad. At least I can just take like this step. Maybe this is just one step forward to figuring out who I am.
The courtroom was buzzing as more dad candidates popped up. It's clear that the father figure drama is far from over, with multiple men thrown into the mix. The gasp-worthy moment reveals photos of Marilyn with another family altogether, adding intrigue to the ongoing enigma of her lineage, spotlighting the tangled emotional and familial entanglements.
Have you ever heard that anyone other than these two men could be your biological father?
Yes. These two are not the only men who claim to be my dad. There's also two other men, father.
What in the world?
Yeah. One of the men who claims to be my father, I know for a fact that he wasn't, and he literally just disappeared. I don't know where he went. Like the other guy, I remember him and his family. They used to call me Little Bit. I remember him and his family over his house.
You could cut the tension with a knife during this fiery showdown. Things heat up around as Marilyn puts Mr. Hinton in the hot seat over his paternal claims and their emotional weight. Marilyn's emotional strain is palpable as she airs her grievances and the heavy load these newfound paternal claims have dumped on her shoulders, emphasizing the intricate emotional weave and hurdles in nailing down father figures later in life.
Have you prepared yourself? Did you understand that there were possible fathers, that there were 4 men that thought they could potentially be Quinn's biological father?
We met up initially at the rest. She was there before I got there, so I got there a little bit late. So I walked through the door, and it was just an instant. We hugged.
I did not run into your arms. No, I did not. You're lying. No, I didn't. I'm not just gonna run. No, I did not. No, I didn't.
Craving DNA proof, Marilyn digs for truth in the turmoil. Marilyn's call for a DNA test to solidify paternity screams her desperation for some semblance of peace amid the emotional whirlwind. Mr. Hinton's hesitance to get tested up till now paints a vivid picture of the high stakes and raw nerves at play in these paternity scuffles, spotlighting the hefty emotional and practical toll of such confrontations. As the stakes soar, peek at how the judge navigates this crucial juncture.
I asked Mr. Hinton for a DNA test, and he refused. Now, this was 3 years ago. He says he did not need a DNA test, and I said, well, I do. I'm the child of the situation. He said, I know that they share my daughter. I don't need it. He refused to get one. I did tell him at one point that, since you want to be in our life so bad, and I think I was just at that point.
Just when you thought the plot couldn't thicken any further, the DNA results are out.
It has been determined by this court. The father is Mr. Walls.
You won't believe this one. Miss Walters is stirring up drama big time. She claims that Mr. Rogers, a pal from way back when, is the dad of her kiddo, Rylan, and he's totally MIA on dad duties. She's gone all the way to court for a DNA test to get him to own up and be a dad. Both are spilling the tea to Judge Lake.
Ms. Walters, you claim the defendant was a childhood family friend who got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 3-year-old son, Rylan. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is Rylan's father, so he will finally step up.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Here comes Mr. Rogers and his mom, both swearing up and down that he's not Rylan's bio dad. Miss Walters isn't buying it and dishes out their history of not-so-safe romantic rendezvous, pinning him as the only guy she wasn't careful with.
You and your mother are here to prove that you are not Rylan's biological father. So, Ms. Walters, how do you know he's the dad?
I slept with another man weeks prior to even conceiving my son, and we did use protection. And at the time I conceived my son, he was the only person that I was having sex with without using protection.
Get this, when Miss Walters dropped the pregnancy bomb via text, text with a pic saying 6 weeks pregnant. Mr. Rogers bounced back a zinger. Congrats. Tell the other guy the same. Ouch. He really thought it wasn't his circus, not his monkey.
She texted me, sent me a picture while I was at work, and it was a sticky note that says 6 weeks pregnant. I text back, congratulations. Tell the other guy congratulations.
Is that what you really felt?
Yes, ma'am. Honestly, what I believe,
Your Honor?
because she was in a relationship with this other guy.
But were you sleeping with her during the window of conception?
Yes, ma'am.
This part is a real tearjerker. Miss Walters talks about going solo at doctor's appointments, and Mr. Rogers only showing conditional support, all based on the big if about being the daddy. Mr. Rogers chimes in about how tight their families were and how this mess has shaken everyone up. Stick around. It's about to get even more tangled.
It was hard. He didn't come to any doctor's appointments. I was doing it by myself. And once I got maybe 7, 8 months, oh, I'll be there if he's mine. I'll take care of him. Don't put me on child support. Once I had him, he came to the hospital. Left the hospital before my son was born.
Hey, me and this girl have been through everything together, known each other since we was in diapers. I felt like she was trying to push me as the she knew we would always be there.
Now, here's a trip down memory lane with Miss Sanders. She paints a picture of Miss Walters practically being part of the furniture at their house, just like one of the family. But now, there's this massive elephant in the room, making everything awkward.
So you would let her spend the night just like another child?
She was
and you
all
wouldn't
summers with us. She spent weekends with us. Her dad lived, and while he worked or whatever, he'd come and stayed at my home. I didn't feel the need to supervise it because they grew up.
Did you know if Miss Walters was intimate with anyone else?
Later on, I did because I found a bunch of condoms in her stuff when I went through it.
Here's where it gets really kooky. Mr. Rogers missed a court date, so bam. He's slapped with being the legal dad for child support. Talk about a whoopsie daisy. He's baffled, thinking how did he get roped into this without any DNA proof? Don't go anywhere. Courtroom drama is just heating up.
When the court date was set up for the DNA test. So I missed the court date, automatically rules me as the father. I'm thinking, how am I on child support? There's been no DNA, birth certificate signed. There's no connection to me and that boy as him being mine
Your Honor,
at the moment.
But there's been a court.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't tell you how many men stand before me. Your Honor, I got this court date in the mail. Went to this address and I had to work, and I knew that child wasn't mine, so I just didn't go.
Listen up as Miss Rogers, Mr. Rogers' sister, and Miss Walters' BFF steps into the witness box. She's here to spill the beans that her bro probably isn't the dad, given all the partying and the other dude Miss Walters was with. Oh boy, grab your snacks because the saga continues.
And Ms. Rogers, you are Ms. Walters' best friend. How long have you known one another?
22 years.
Last name Rogers?
Yes.
Sounds familiar.
Yes, ma'am, that's my sister.
Do you believe your brother is Ryland's father?
No, ma'am.
Why?
Well, because at the time we were all young, we all done our different things. We were all partying together every day, all the time. Every time we went out together. I was aware of her sleeping with the other guy. So stated the next morning that she did sleep with him.
Feel that tension? It's thick. Everyone's getting emotional about what this all means for little Ryland. They're all twisted up over whether the families can ever play nice again if Mr. Rogers is confirmed as the dad. But don't wander off. The moment of truth is about to drop.
There is a beautiful child here. 3 years old, doesn't know who his father is. And then if you are the biological father, are the two families going to be able to get along enough
It'll never be the same.
to support this child?
Too much between us.
It'll never be the same.
And then if he's not a biological child, to mend this rift and to put these families back together.
Possible, Your Honor, but there's no telling with the different family members that are each other's family.
And here it is, the big reveal. The DNA test says,
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Rogers, you are his father.
I'm sorry.
That wasn't my boyfriend and he didn't leave because I still was talking to him too. How about that?
Y'all having unprotected sex, that's your boyfriend.
I was having sex with you too. Is you my boyfriend then?
That's the one you was at. You wasn't messing with him no more. He left. You ain't had nobody but me.
That's what you think.
It's a shotgun house. It was my house. I left it to him. You walk in, you're in the living room in the room. The proper thing to do, little girl, is to get up and acknowledge your guest who's ever.
Don't acknowledge you.
Yeah, he wasn't even there.
I don't even like
I don't care if he don't like
you. Don't even like.
While he was doing all that research trying to figure out who I was talking to, he failed to tell anybody that he was engaged to this girl.
What?
While he was still married. And it's on her Facebook, so he can't even lie about it.
Ms. Crowley steps up to the plate with a major claim. She's asking for a DNA test to confirm Mr. Houston is the dad of her toddler, Dior. She's dead sure about the night Dior was conceived, making her case to the court. Meanwhile, Mr. Houston is on the defense, completely denying he's the father, and even claims he's got the receipts to prove it.
Ms. Crowley, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove the defendant is the father of your 2-year-old son, Dior. You claim to remember the exact night you conceived, and therefore, he is your child's father. Mr. Houston, you say you are certain that you are not her child's father and claim to have proof to support your case.
Things heat up as Mr. Houston breaks down his alibi for the conception period, swearing he was miles away at the time. He's not just denying paternity, he's practically allergic to the idea, pouring on the doubt about any romantic reunion with Ms. Crowley during the crucial days.
I even got evidence of the proof when me and her got together and all of that. It was just, when she told me that Dior was born, there was no way it could have been my baby because I was out of town. I haven't been in Rochester for numerous years. So when she was contacting me, I told her I wasn't gonna do nothing until we found out Dior was mine. I asked her, I told her I'd pay for a DNA test, she denied.
Mr. Houston waves around a calendar like it's a winning lottery ticket, showing he wasn't even in the state when Dior was supposedly conceived. But Ms. Crowley isn't having any of it, firing back that she knows when and where the magic happened, and it was definitely at his house.
Yeah, I got information staying right here. Telling you was a lie.
Sir, what is this exact?
That's a calendar.
And this calendar?
The blue marker, that's she stayed in March 11th. That's when she said we had sex. The other markers right there, I couldn't leave the state due to I had something going on.
So you were out of state?
I was out of town, yes. I was
on March 21st?
Yes, ma'am.
As the debate rages on, Ms. Crowley throws a curveball, admitting she was playing the field around the time Dior was conceived. Suddenly, the courtroom feels more like a daytime talk show, with gasps and side eyes all around. This confession throws a wrench in her certainty about Dior's paternity.
Her boyfriend left for another girl. She came around sad. I was the one
that wasn't my boyfriend, and he didn't leave because I still was talking to him too. How about that?
Yeah, having unprotected sex, that's your boyfriend.
I was having sex with you too. Is you my boyfriend then?
That's when you wasn't messing with him no more. He left. You ain't had nobody but me.
That's what you think.
Miss Crowley, you were having unprotected sex with Mr. Houston?
Yes.
One time, Your Honor.
The moment of truth arrives with all the drama of a season finale.
Mr. Houston, you are Dior's father.
He was out of town.
Brace yourselves, folks. We're diving in. The episode kicks off with everyone settling into their seats as Mr. Mitchell and Ms. Dalton stand ready to unravel a paternity dispute involving two youngsters, Deshaun Jr. and Bishop. With Mr. Mitchell already holding down the fort as dad, he's all jittery about the DNA dance that's about to happen. Ms. Dalton, on the other hand, hopes to patch things up despite her wandering ways.
Mr. Mitchell, you are petitioning the court to DNA test to determine if you are the father of your estranged wife's two children, 2-year-old Deshaun Jr. and 1-year-old Bishop.
Grab your tissues? Mr. Mitchell lays it all out, talking about how Ms. Dalton bolted, leaving him with a duo of diaper dynamos and a heart heavier than a sack of potatoes. As he spills the beans on his struggles, the audience claps up a storm, feeling every bit of his pain. Just when you think you've seen it all, the plot thickens even more. Stick around.
Over the past few months, Ms. Dalton put me and my kids through a lot. She done left, and in between the last 7, 8, 9 months, you know, she done made us struggle. She done walked out on us, Your Honor. What I'm trying to do, I get very emotional when it comes to talking about my kids.
Plot twist alert. Ms. Dalton jumps into the fray, claiming things didn't go down quite like Mr. Mitchell said. She admits to hitting the road, but paints a different picture of the why and the how, shedding light on the messy tangles of their relationship. As she tries to set the record straight, you'll be itching to hear what's next because, trust me, it's about to get even juicier.
In the beginning, me and Deshaun, we weren't really serious when we had our first son. I did cheat on him. Went away for some time. I said from the beginning, I've been doing everything by myself. He wasn't working. There was constant, I worked 2 jobs when I was pregnant with my first son. I worked 2 jobs to make sure that toe was taken care of.
Things are heating up. The air gets thick with accusations as Mr. Mitchell throws shade about Ms. Dalton's alleged side escapades during their split. She fires back, defending her honor and explaining her side of the messy saga. The tension's building, and you won't believe the bombshell's about to drop. Keep watching.
She was just with another man, Your Honor. We're still married.
And we were separating, and we both agreed on the separation. We weren't together. We were going to move on with our lives.
She got this party.
I don't party, Your Honor. I don't go out to the club, Your Honor. Go out, party, or do any of that.
We was in a different city, Your Honor. I moved to the city where her mother and her sister were staying, help her, and she was close to her mother. I didn't have no family.
Hold on to your popcorn. The courtroom turns into a drama hotspot as Mr. Mitchell dishes out doubts about being the daddy, thanks to Ms. Dalton's questionable past. He recounts a shady phone call that cranks up his suspicion meter, while Ms. Dalton tries desperately to debunk his version of events. The suspense is real, folks, and you're gonna want to see how this unfolds.
Did this man say to you, I could be the father?
He said it's a possibility that she's pregnant. That's what he said. This before I even knew.
So you get on the phone with this man and he tells you that your friend may be pregnant?
But at the time, I don't think he even knew that I was even messing with Destiny, conniving and being real sneak. So he didn't know nothing about me, just like I didn't know nothing about him.
The moment of truth is here, and boy, does it deliver.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Mitchell, you are Bishop's father.
Buckle up, folks. Miss Lockridge drags Mr. Tidwell into court, claiming he's the father of her 10-month-old son, King. But guess what? He's not buying it. She's dead sure he's the dad and thinks today's DNA results will stick it to him. And just when you think it can't get any spicier, wait till you hear what's next.
Ms. Lockridge, you've dragged Mr. Tidwell to court because he has refused to acknowledge your 10-month-old son, King. You are 100% sure he's the father and claim today's results will prove your case.
Here's where it gets juicy. Mr. Tidwell drops a bombshell, saying their fling was casual at best, and he nearly fell over when she said she was pregnant. He's convinced the real dad is out there, not him. Strap in, because it's about to get even wilder.
Mr. Tidwell, you say you were never in a serious relationship with Ms. Lockridge and you were stunned when she told you she was pregnant. The timing leads you to suspect that baby King's father must be another man.
Things are heating up now. Miss Lockridge lays it all out, saying Mr. Tidwell hasn't lifted a finger for little King, despite being the name on the birth certificate. He admits to naming the kid, but denies everything else. What's coming up will definitely raise some eyebrows.
Mr. Tidwell does not have a relationship with my son. The only time he's actually seen my son is when I've made it convenient for him and brought him to him. He hasn't helped with diapers. He barely helped with any clothes, and it hurt. It's frustrating. He named my son King. How am I supposed to raise a king and he's not there?
You named him King, Mr. Tidwell?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't have a relationship with him?
No.
Mr. Tidwell finds a note and an ultrasound picture on his bed one fine morning. Surprise, it's a baby on the way. Miss Lockridge left it like a mystery novel plot twist, and now we're all turning pages to see what happens next.
She came over to my house. We hung out. The next day, I see a piece of paper on my bed. I grab it, I looked at it. It was a note with an ultrasound. I'm not sure the exact words of the note, but it said that she didn't know how to tell me this. She's sorry she had to tell me like that. So I called her, she didn't answer the phone. She ended up leaving me a text message saying that she was sorry and that she didn't know how to tell me that she was.
You won't believe this part. Miss Lockridge spills the beans about Mr. Tidwell being MIA during the whole pregnancy saga. No calls, no texts, not even a how do you do at the doctor's. And just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, wait till you hear from the peanut gallery.
He didn't care about, I texted him when I was every doctor's appointment, all my weight gains, the weight changes. I even sent him voice recordings of the heartbeat. When I had my son, I was in labor for 30 hours completely by myself, to the point where the nurse that was with me, she had to call the doctor and ask the doctor if she could stay with me because I was by myself.
Here comes the chorus. Mr. Tidwell's mom steps up and throws shade like it's sunny in July, claiming Miss Lockridge is all about drama. She's not buying what Miss Lockridge is selling, not one bit. But hold on, the truth bomb is just about to drop.
She is very obsessed with my son.
I'm not obsessed. I was in love with him.
All she talked about is how much she wants to be with him and how she's got a prayer closet at home for him. One day he's gonna be her husband.
Why is it so far-fetched that he could be King's biological father?
Because it was such a long span of time. I don't know anything about this young lady, really.
All right, grab your popcorn.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tidwell, you are not his father.
Are you kidding me?
Messed up, man.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
Guess who just stepped into the Hot Mess Express? Mrs. Johnson is here to throw some shade and save her marriage. She's claiming her hubby isn't the dad of another lady's 13-month-old dynamic duo, hoping the DNA proof will kick this drama to the curb. Buckle up, folks. The tea is just starting to spill.
Mrs. Johnson, you and your husband have been together for 5 years. You are in court to save your marriage by proving to the defendant that your husband is not the biological father of her 13-month-old twins, Christian and Christiana.
Oh boy, here comes the plot twist. Ms. Davis swaggers into the courtroom, all confident that she had a fling with Mrs. Johnson's husband, which, surprise, surprise, resulted in twins. She's dead set on proving paternity today. Strap in, this roller coaster is about to go off the rails.
Ms. Davis, you contend that you had a sexual relationship with the plaintiff's husband and say that led to your pregnancy and birth of your twins. Ms. Johnson, you say you are Mr. Johnson's mother and you contacted the court hoping to bring closure to this ongoing DNA drama.
Well, isn't this a pickle? Mr. Johnson's up in the mix, admitting to his past rendezvous with Ms. Davis. He's all twisted up inside, not knowing if he's the daddy-o of the twins, and it's throwing a wrench in his marriage and family life. Oh boy, wait till you hear what's up next.
I just feel like we'll have a lot more closure if I go ahead and find out if they're mine or not.
So you admit you're a married man and you're torn between two women now.
Me and Ms. Davis don't have any more dealing. I'm not gonna necessarily say that, but
what are you gonna say?
I'm gonna say, being that I don't know for sure if the kids are mine, yeah, that's causing havoc.
Her relationship. Hold on to your pop popcorn, this gets good. Ms. Davis dishes out the backstory of how she and Mr. Johnson got tangled up, and even how she found out he was already Mr. Johnson. She spills all the beans about their complicated relationship drama. The next bit, it's a doozy.
Somebody introduced me to him. So we was together for a little while, you know what I'm saying?
Did you know he was in a relationship with Miss Johnson?
No, not really until like a couple years, probably like a year or so. I seen the little married pictures on Facebook or whatever. So I was like, when this come about, you know?
Did you confront him about, are you married?
No, I ain't confronting him, but you know, I asked because it ain't my concern because you ain't my man, you know?
The drama meter is through the roof. Mrs. Johnson and Ms. Davis face off with Mr. Johnson's mom smack in the middle, dealing with the fallout. It's a full-on family feud with a side of sass. And guess what? It gets even spicier from here.
I heard that the twins might be my grands, so I asked Ms. Davis were they my grands, and she said no, ma'am. I think after she had them, and I said, well, bring them back so I can see. And she brought them to my house. I think they were maybe 4 or 5 months. And I looked at them, and I said, well, this one looks like she's doing now. Talk to your son. And she said, I'll give him a test if he wanted. And that's when she basically confirmed for me that he could possibly be the father.
Talk about a plot reversal. Ms. Davis flips the script, now saying she might have been mistaken about Mr. Johnson not being the dad, especially when it comes to her daughter. The courtroom's heating up, and you won't believe the twist coming up next.
You admit that initially you told Mr. Johnson and his mother these are not his children. So you now believe the twins are his children.
One of them, because they fraternal, they was in different sets.
Okay, so they're fraternal twins, and you believe
the
one
twin, because my ex, I had an ex time.
Dr. Jackie steps in to school everyone on how twins can have different dads. Mind-blowing, right? She breaks down the science stuff in plain speak because, let's face it, we're all scratching our heads here. The explanation is wild, and it sets us up for the big reveal.
Matter related to beautiful twins, Christian and Christiane. That the twins were fathered by two different...
It is something in medicine we call superfecundation. Basically saying a female will ovulate more than one egg in that one ovulatory cycle. The egg typically lives about 12 to 20, sometimes 48. However, sperms are 3 to 5 days.
Grab your tissues or your giggles.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are not the father.
Can you even handle what just went down? Ms. Knox swings into action, claiming her ex, Mr. Bailey, needs to face the music and accept he's the daddy of her adorable 1-year-old Cash. She's also throwing a financial curveball at him, demanding $3,280 for baby expenses, because, well, diapers aren't cheap. Get ready, because the roller coaster is just leaving the station.
So you are seeking a DNA test to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Bailey, that he is the father of your 1-year-old son, Cash. You claim the only reason he's denying your son is because of his meddling mother. Only do you want to establish paternity, you are also suing for child-rearing expenses in the sum of $3,480.
You're not gonna believe this. Ms. Bailey jumps in with a zinger, accusing Ms. Knox of trying to cash in on her son's sweet dance moves because he's about to be the next big thing. According to her, it's all about the Benjamins for Ms. Knox. Buckle up, folks. Things are about to get even spicier.
Ms. Bailey, you claim your son is a famous dancer and is about to hit it big. Both of you claim Ms. Knox is pinning a baby on your son because she is after his fame, future fortune.
Hold on to your popcorn. Ms. Knox Knox isn't just talking the talk. She's walking the walk with a stack of receipts taller than her toddler. She spent a small fortune, $6,960 to be exact, on everything from baby wipes to strollers. Mr. Bailey admits he chipped in for the circumcision, but that's about it. Next up, we dive deeper into the wallet woes.
Do you have receipts?
I do have receipts
that will substantiate
all the stuff that I had for my child. I had to buy white car seat strollers. I haven't seen anything from it, Mr.
They total $6,960, half of which is $3,480, which you say he would be responsible for to help raise a child that you claim is, in fact, his biological child.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, Mr. Bailey tries to show he's not the deadbeat dad type by showing off some baby gear he bought. Then, bam, a tweet pops up where he seems to be joking about the whole situation. Stay tuned, because the judge is about to weigh in on Tweetgate.
I have evidence.
I'd like to see that evidence. Mr. Bailey, you say this is evidence of what?
That's just like some of the stuff I had around the house that I purchased for cash.
Yeah,
some of the stuff he wore, some of it he wore, some of it's brand new. Still in, still have tags on it.
I have evidence showing that he only did that
Walker, I have the
because I
receipts.
said putting him on child support.
Plot twist alert. Ms. Bailey throws a curveball, claiming Ms. Knox was already baking a bun in the oven before her son even entered the picture. She's basing this on some super sleuthing about Ms. Knox's mysterious behavior. Fasten your seatbelts. This conspiracy theory is about to take flight.
It's a shotgun house. It was my house. I left it to him. You walk in, you're in the living room in the room. The proper thing to do, little girl, is get up and acknowledge your guest who's ever
acknowledge you.
Yeah, he wasn't even there.
You don't even like
I don't
Miss
care if he
Bailey.
don't like
You don't even like
she was already pregnant
when she met you on the social media. So obviously you done saw what he was doing for his other kid and maybe even what's going on.
This is where it gets juicy. Ms. Knox spills the beans that she's been begging for a DNA test because Mr. Bailey's visits to see Kat come with more strings attached than a puppet. What's around the corner? More bombshells, no doubt.
Have you ever requested a DNA test?
I asked her 3 times and we haven't seen Kat. I brought that up. If you give me a case of diapers, you can see Kat.
Yeah, and I still don't receive this. The reason why I don't give them to him because first off, their house is not even properly, it's not even a house. Dirty, it's filthy, still don't trust my child with you because you didn't raise your own.
Are you ready for the big reveal?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bailey, you are Cash's father.
So here's the scoop. Mr. Thompson is all kinds of worried about whether his 4-month-old kiddo, Micah Pate Thompson, is actually his. Mrs. Pate Thompson is crossing her fingers and toes that the DNA test will give her hubby the thumbs up as the daddy for the sake of their family shenanigans.
Your wife has a newborn 4-month-old Micah Pate Thompson, who you hope is your baby, but say your doubts are overwhelming. Mrs. Pate Thompson, you hope and pray the results reveal that your husband, Micah's father, for the sake of your family and your marriage.
Get this, Mr. Thompson spills the tea about their marriage, hitting the skids, highlighting how they've pretty much turned into roommates with no benefits. He goes on about how they stopped sharing a bed and everything else that spells romance is dead.
The current status of our relationship is it's rocky. We don't sleep in the same bedroom. We haven't slept in the same bedroom in a year. We haven't had sex probably in about 7-8 months. It's just, she don't like to cook, she don't like to clean, she don't like to work. It's a lot going on, other than Micah. So every marriage is not perfect, but it's a lot going on.
Here's a twist. Despite having a mountain of doubts about whether he's Micah's real dad, Mr. Thompson is all in on being a father figure. He's talking big about stepping up for the kid, especially considering how important it is in the African-American community.
You want this baby to be your biological child, but you truly doubt.
I would love for him to be my son. If he wasn't mine, I don't know if I could raise another man's child. With everything going on and the connection that me and Micah has together, I can't let another child, especially another black child, grow up without a father.
Grab your tissues, folks. Mrs. Pate Thompson is pouring her heart out here, really hoping Micah is her man's son because she doesn't want to lose her boo. The emotional roller coaster is just leaving the station, folks.
I want Micah to be his son. I don't want to lose my best friend. We've been together so long. I just don't want to lose him.
How this relationship began. Certainly, at some point, you all were happy together.
Yes.
Rewind to the good old days. They met in college. He was the class clown behind her. All smooth moves and cheesy lines. From study buddies to soulmates, they were thick as thieves. But oh boy, don't get too comfy. Things are about to take a dive.
We met in college. We had a class together. And he sat behind me, cracking jokes, trying to copy off my test. Next thing you know, we were talking and we were together in a relationship. Couldn't see him without seeing me.
So, Mr. Thompson, the bottom line is you met and you were very happy together.
Yes, ma'am.
Yikes, here it comes. Mr. Thompson reveals he had to play detective and get DNA tests for their first 2 munchkins because trust was as thin as cheap toilet paper. And if you thought that was messy, just wait till you hear what's next.
LaToya first started getting into marriage and stuff like that. I had found out she was doing some things that she shouldn't have been doing. Text messaging, meeting up with guys and stuff like that. So when I confronted her, she said it wasn't true. I found out otherwise. I had to get DNA tests on my first 2 boys. We married, but every time while we're in a marriage, and every time you get pregnant, I gotta get a DNA test.
Hold on to your popcorn. After Mr. Thompson pieced out, he shacked up with another lady, which led Mrs. Pate Thompson to hit the divorce button. Drama level, soap opera, and guess what? It only gets juicier from here.
When I left, she said she was gonna work on herself. Me and her had ample conversations.
While he was with somebody else.
About her working on herself, because she deleted me off social media. I found out she started adding all these other dudes to her social media page.
You were gone. You were living somebody else.
So why shouldn't she move on?
She didn't want to move on. She said she was gonna work on what she needs to work on.
Planning to get a divorce?
Yes.
Oh, the irony. Turns out Mr. Thompson had no clue how marriage works, considering he popped the question to another gal while still hitched. Chaos, confusion, and a whole lot of what the heck moments.
While he was doing all that research trying to figure out who I was talking to, he failed to tell anybody that he was engaged to this girl.
What?
While he was still married. And it's on her Facebook, so he can't even lie about it.
You asked another girl to marry you while you're still married to your wife?
I did.
See, he never admitted that. When I asked him about it, how could I be engaged? I'm still married. That's what he told me.
I mean, I still won't say it, but I did.
And boom goes the dynamite.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Thompson, you are not father.
So he picks me up in the stolo. I'm getting dressed or whatnot. I'm looking out the window. He like, yeah, boo, I'm out. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze. Get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car? car?
I left school 2 miles to a family's home, knocked on their door, no answer. Looked through the peephole, shadows moving all around.
No.
Tiptoeing towards the door. So I parked myself on that concrete steady for 4 or 5 hours till they had to come out.
Everybody's running out the house, and I caught a guy over there one time. I knocked on the door. She's trying to hide a dude in the bathroom. Multiple occasions.
There was not no multiple occasions.
Guys.
You only seen one.
I only seen it one time, but everybody tell me.
You're not gonna believe this one. Miss Tori steps up with a zinger, accusing Mr. Goodson of bailing on being the dad to her 2 ankle biters, while Miss Henderson isn't having any of it either, claiming he's dodging daddy duties for her 4-year-old tyke too. They're both gunning for DNA tests and some wallet opening from Mr. Goodson. The courtroom's heating up with all these spicy accusations. Buckle up, there's more drama ahead.
Miss Tori claimed the defendant is denying he is the father of your 2 kids. And Miss Henderson, you state Mr. Goodson refuses to take responsibility for your old daughter. You have both asked the court to award paternity tests and enforce his financial obligation as a father.
Check out this curveball. Mr. Goodson throws a soft pitch, hoping the tests prove he's the papa, despite rumors he's been playing the field. And Miss Henderson, she's calling foul, saying the player might have hit a home run with her and his cousin around the same bases. This tangled love triangle's got more twists than a pretzel factory, and it's only getting twistier from here.
Additionally, you state Miss Henderson slept with you and your cousin in the same time frame, and therefore you can be sure
Which was a lie.
her daughter is yours.
My story is that I went on a chat line one day. I met his cousin on the chat line. He know that was just looking for someone to hang out with on, a regular basis.
Oh boy, grab your popcorn. So, Miss Henderson spills the beans about a date gone wild, featuring a getaway car that was more stolen than borrowed. Yep, their night out flashed red and blue as the cops crashed their party. Talk about a bad first impression. Keep watching, it's about to go off the rails.
I'm like, yeah, you come see me, what's up? So he came to see me in the Stolo, which they call down in St. Louis, it's a stolen car. So he come picks me up in the Stolo. I'm getting dressed or whatnot. I'm looking out the window, he like, yeah, boo, I'm out. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze, get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car? Really? Right.
I don't know nothing about that.
This part's a real soap opera. Just when you thought it couldn't get soapier, in walks Mr. Thomas, another potential baby daddy in the saga of Miss Henderson's little one. Is he the father, or is it Mr. Goodson? It's like Maury Povich in here, but with more legal jargon. Don't touch that dial. The paternity puzzle isn't solved just yet.
It's like a one-night thing. You know how it be some night, might get drunk, be with somebody, might turn you on, just happen.
Right.
Okay, so it was a one-night stand. So either you or your cousin Goodson father.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the big reveal time. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined that when it comes to 4-year-old Lazasia, Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a wild kickoff, Mr. Matlock spills the tea that he had to dip out for family stuff a while back. While he was gone, claims Ms. Monroe got a bit too cozy and invited her old flame to crash at their pad. This drama sets up a wild ride of a court case. Just wait, it gets even crazier from here.
Mr. Matlock,
Yes, ma'am.
you say that a few years back you were suddenly called away at family business.
Yes,
While
Your Honor.
absent, you claim the defendant, Ms. Monroe, invited her former lover to move into your family home.
Your Honor, that's correct.
Hold on to your popcorn, folk. After Mr. Matlock comes back and forgives Ms. Monroe, they get back to business as usual. Boom, she hits him with news of a bun in the oven, and oh, maybe it's not his. What comes next will have you picking your jaw off the floor.
Upon your return, you say you gave her and resumed your sexual relationship.
Yes.
But then she dropped the bombshell that she was pregnant and you might not be the father of her child.
Things heat up as Ms. Monroe admits she's really not sure who the daddy is. She defends her sketchy moves by saying Mr. Matlock ghosted her the whole time he was gone, making her think he was out for good. The tea gets even hotter in the next bit.
You admit that you have serious about the paternity of your child. Well, you argue that when Mr. Matt left family business, he stopped answering your phone calls, texts for an entire month.
Your Honor.
That's not correct.
In your defense, you say you believe he was never coming back again.
Yes, Your Honor.
As they dive into their rocky past, Mr. Matlock lays out all their dirty laundry, questioning the trust and loyalty in their relationship. The back and forth about his trip and her moving the ex in just adds more spice to the drama stew. Buckle up, because the next part is a doozy.
Back in 2006, when me and Monroe first got together, she knew I was back and forth from Fort Smith to Fayetteville because I had for a week.
No.
Yeah, no, it was a week.
You're lying. You were gone a month.
Anyway, Your Honor,
You were gone a month.
when I was gone for a week,
No,
she moved her ex into our home in 1 week, Your Honor.
At what point do you find that she's moved another man into the house.
From her.
Yikes! Talk about a communication fail. Mr. Matlock apparently turned into a ghost, not answering calls, which Ms. Monroe says led her to shuffle her ex into their home. The mess just snowballs from here, leading to an even bigger facepalm moment.
He never answered my calls. Went on for a whole month.
What number you
And
called?
so, Mr. Matlock, were you getting phone calls from Monroe and not answering?
No, Your Honor, I her when I called her, but I don't feel like when I'm spending time with my son, I should have to drop her
Still have
every
to talk
waking
to me. If
minute.
I'm your
'cause
girlfriend, you
she's
should care.
jealous
I'm
that
not.
I'm with
If you would have gave me a
every
reason,
woman
then I
on
wouldn't
the
have
block.
you.
In a what were you thinking moment, Ms. Monroe confirms she did indeed move her ex into their love nest when Mr. Matlock went AWOL. This bombshell obviously complicates things big time once Mr. Matlock returns. Grab your snacks, because this next revelation is a hoot.
Mr. Matlock, you returned home.
Put her ex out, talked on the phone
Because I
about
wanted
the
you.
situation.
I didn't want him.
I had feeling for her. I've been knowing her since we were 12, 13. So I felt something about her. So we worked out the whole situation. I eventually moved back in the house, picking up a sexual relationship with her again.
Just when you think things couldn't get more bonkers, Ms. Monroe drops a bomb. Mr. Matlock might not be the daddy. This plot twist kicks off a wild ride through paternity court. Keep watching, because the fallout is just too good to miss.
Am I father of the child? Who's
And
the
I
baby
was
daddy?
honored, right?
She
And
looked
what did
at
she
me
say?
and
I was
said,
honored.
"You're not father." Can't make it up. That's what she said. You are not the father. So I'm not taking care of somebody else's baby, and you tell me that baby is not my baby.
So-
You didn't say that. You are not the father.
Get this, Mr. Matlock ends up on the hook for child support because he missed his court date. Talk about a bad day getting worse. The financial and emotional roller coaster that ensues is something straight out of a soap opera. The climax is just around the corner, and it's a big one.
Saying I missed my court date and I was fathered by default. I have evidence to prove that, Your Honor.
When that court date came up, Mr. Matlock, you're saying you never got
No,
notice
ma'am.
of when your court date
No, ma'am.
was. So you didn't show you weren't there. You were determined to be the
I am the
father.
father. By
And you
default.
have some paperwork.
And here it is, the moment of truth.
When it comes 5-year-old Kenya, you are not.
I knew it! Put somebody else on child support. I want my money back.
All right, buckle up for this one. Mr. Dansby finally spills why he took forever to ask for a DNA test. He blames Miss Simpson's web of lies and a mysterious other dude for his doubts about being little Denoris's daddy. The plot thickens, so stick around.
The reason why it took 3 years, man, because Miss Simpson, she had been lying to me. It was so much shade. She had another dude who she was dealing with. I mean, it was one in the morning I had caught.
No, what it was that I had been trying to get you to do a DNA test, but you chose to run. You didn't want to go to the child support place, do the DNA test.
Here comes Mr. Dansby trying to wiggle his way out of this pickle. The judge grills him on why it took him so long to reach out to his maybe son Denoris. Mr. Dansby blames Miss Simpson for playing keep away, which he says stopped him from connecting with the kiddo. Hold on, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Dansby, let me ask you this though. What have you made to try to get the DNA test?
Well, Your Honor, it was times where I had reached out to Miss Simpson. I had got in contact with Miss Simpson through phone. It was so much as my son. Why you brought the kid around me? Carol, another
Why
man
should
like
I have to
So
bring you?
nobody made enough of an effort to get a DNA test. That's why you're here today.
You're not gonna believe this. Mr. Dansby dishes out a soap opera-worthy morning tale where he finds out another guy is in the picture right as he's sending the kids off to school. The drama's not stopping here. Keep watching.
Man, we met through a mutual friend. She moved me into her home where she was staying there with her other two kids. Miss Simpson had another man who she was dealing with. I was getting her kids ready for school. I got them on the school bus. Miss Simpson was taking a shower that morning. I just so happened caught the phone call. It was another dude. He was shocked to hear me.
I don't
was
recall
shocked
of
to hear
that.
him. And she told me that it was the dude that was phone bill.
No.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, Miss Simpson goes feeling all queasy, and boom, a pregnancy test turns positive. Mr. Dansby's suspicion meter goes through the roof because, let's face it, the timing's as shady as a large oak tree. Don't go anywhere. The roller coaster's just hitting the big drop.
After the strange phone call, she had went to visit her dad in her hometown, where he from, which is Vidalia, Georgia. Okay, we went down there. She said she was feeling sick that particular day.
And
we
I
went to
was.
the pharmacy. She went and took a pregnancy test. She said it came out to find out that she was pregnant. I immediately
Right
assumed-
from the
So
beginning.
if you had
Right
your
from the
dog,
beginning.
if you
Right from the
didn't
back.
think that this baby was yours, why did you so-called put on like you was happy?
Grab your popcorn, folks. Mr. Dansby pulls out a timeline that's more tangled than last year's Christmas lights. He's connecting dots, pointing fingers, and making sure everyone knows just how mixed up this whole story is. What's next? More bombshells, obviously.
This is my timeline.
Outlines all of the lies.
We met through a friend.
In November 2011, that's when you got the old man phone call.
Yes, I got the phone call from the old dude. He was shocked to hear me just like I was shocked to hear from him.
She announces the pregnancy.
She announced that she told everyone she was pregnant. I had my doubts about that, about her being
So
pregnant.
you were doubtful again if there was something shady going on then too.
Here's a heart tugger. Mr. Dansby meets his potential mini-me for the first time, and it's as awkward as a high school dance. He's feeling all the feels, but mostly confusion and distance, because, well, he's He's been out of the loop for 3 whole years. Fasten your seatbelts. We're diving deeper.
October 2014. When you
October
say it's the
2014.
first time you met Tenoris, what was shady about that?
That was my first time ever seeing Tenoris. I feel like if she's so confident about this, my son, why it took for me 3 years for me to see Tenoris?
But I got evidence that
okay, we did
you
take
put
a
on
picture.
Facebook. It is a picture of him Tenoris where he said,
Things are heating up. Miss Simpson and Mr. Dansby go head to head like 2 rams fighting over who made less effort to get in touch. It's a back and forth of you didn't call me first. That's sure to get some eye rolls and laughs.
I really do feel deep down that she was me, man.
dodge you for what? Why would I want to dodge you?
Because you had me lying.
Child that need a father when my child need a father.
My dad wasn't there for me when I was a kid. So I take this very I do want Tenoris to know that who his father is. I do want to be his father.
Because you don't want that cycle.
Because I want the kids of my own. I got 3 girls.
Now we're talking turkey, money. The judge breaks down who paid what for Denoris's upkeep, and let's just say it's not adding up for everyone. Mr. Dansby's been sending cash via paycheck garnishments, but Miss Simpson says it's not enough. Get ready, the verdict's about to drop, and it's a biggie.
Now, you came to court suing $3,361.56. You do acknowledge you've received $240 from Mr. Dansby.
Yes, Your Honor.
So for that reason, the court can award you $3,121.56 child rearing expenses.
Buckle up, folks. Ray kicks things off with a bang, claiming her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lacey, is definitely the dad of her grown son. She's here to prove it once and for all, spicing up the court with her determination and the juicy details of their past. And folks, it gets even juicier from here.
Mr. Ray, you are in court proof to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lacey, that is the biological father of your adult son, Von Lacey. You state that the defendant has been an absentee father full of excuses, and you want it all to end today in court with the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here's where it heats up. Trayvon, the son in question, throws down the gauntlet, calling Mr. Lacey an absentee dad, loaded with excuses. He's all fired up, wanting today to be the day they end this drama and get to the truth. Hang tight. The courtroom's about to turn into a sauna.
Well, it's not fair to my son, and he really needs a man up, because he's depriving my child of a father. He is the father of my son.
You believe that you are not Trayvon's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
Believe that from the beginning?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Just when you think it couldn't get more tangled, it's revealed Mr. Lacey's name is on the birth certificate. Talk about a plot thickener. This twist adds layers of mystery and potential chaos. You won't believe how they try to unravel this knot.
So this birth certificate, child's name, Trayvon Lacey, father's name, Larry Lacey, but it's typed in. Was he present at the birth?
He was not present, no.
You basically just gave them his name.
I gave him his name.
And they typed it in.
Yeah.
Things just got real. Mr. Lacey shares his shocker moment when he first found out about the paternity claim, leading to a surprise invitation to child support court. It's like a soap opera with legal jargon, and trust me, the drama is only ramping up from here.
Mr. Lacey, when did you find out that she claimed were Trayvon's biological father?
I say Trayvon probably was about between 3 and 6 months years old. I received court paper, State of Ohio Child Support Court. Me and Miss Torre, we did both appear at the Child Support Court. When I walked into the court, the judge, he looked at me, he said, "That's your son, you have nothing to say."
As the plot thickens, the court digs into the child support dough Mr. Lacey has been shelling out. He confirms he's been paying up, despite the daddy drama. This bit is crucial because it sets the stage for some major emotional fireworks that are about to blast off.
And his court papers say paying child support. You
Yes,
pay
and
child support.
I have proof that, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I want to put this to bed. I'm tired of reliving that. You know, okay, I made a mistake. What is even a mistake? I was just living on my own. And he just keep throwing his man in my over and making my son feel bad. I'm ready to put it to bed. That's what I wanted and get on with our life.
Feel the tension in the air? Both sides are worn out from the drama and just want to know if Mr. Lacey is really the pops. It's a tug of war with emotions, and everyone's on edge. But hold on to your seats because the truth bomb is about to drop.
Nor is my intention to make Miss Torre feel bad. The thing I want to know is the truth.
There is, in fact, a real question of paternity. Both sides acknowledge. You presented this evidence to the court, which indicates that you owe $37,200 and some odd dollars in child support.
You're down to $5,000.
You've got about $5,800.
Get ready for some gossip. Ray spills the tea on how she and Mr. Lacey first got together, complete with the steamy details of their early flings. It's a real tell-all moment that sheds light on their rocky romance. And folks, you're gonna want to stick around for the blockbuster DNA reveal.
I just moved in town. I got my new apartment. I was feeling all grown in my apartment, doing grown stuff in my grown. Well, I didn't find out until I went to the OBGYN, and at that time he had told me that I was like 12 to 14 weeks already into my pregnancy. And he was the only man I had sex in that time frame. Because I didn't know nobody else.
Pregnant. We had only been together for no more than a month. How could Trayvon be my child?
Here it comes.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lacey, you are the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. I told you. Now stand up, give my son his respect.
Get ready for a wild ride. The show kicks off with the judge diving straight into the drama, asking Ms. Butler to spill the beans about whether Mr. Wilson really is little Nyona's dad. Ms. Butler is all in, totally convinced that Nyona is his kiddo, setting us up for a roller coaster of a court session. You're not going to want to miss what comes next.
Or we go through all the trouble of hearing a ton of testimony. Why don't you just be honest, Ms. Butler, and let us know whether you really believe Mr. Wilson is Nyona's biological father?
I really feel like she's his. I do.
Things are heating up. Ms. Butler is sure that Nyona belongs to Mr. Wilson, but kind of wobbly about Zaria. This confession stirs up a whole pot of questions about both kids and what Mr. Wilson's deal is with them. Hang on, because it's about to get even juicier.
If you had to doubt one of the children, you really didn't know if Zariah's his, but Nyona you're pretty confident about?
Nyona's definitely yours.
You said that about the other one.
We just heard that same testimony, didn't we, Jerome?
Did thought both of the kids was yours. We always had sex without no condom.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. The judge isn't pulling any punches, calling out Ms. Butler on her questionable mothering skills amid all the chaos. This serious chat really digs into the family mess and what's expected of a mom in this courtroom. And guess what? It only gets wilder from here.
Because I want to get the information on Nyona because I do want her to know who her biological father is. I'm disappointed, Ms. Butler. You a mother.
No, she's not at all. Don't have a clue what being the mother is.
I do love my kids.
Don't have a clue what being the mother.
And I do want to do better. I actually do.
Can you believe this? We dive into the soap opera of their relationship when Nyona was conceived. Mr. Wilson paints a picture of a not-so-cozy love nest with Ms. Butler, complete with other dudes and sneaky moves, complicating the whole "who's your daddy?" question.
What was this relationship then?
She was living in an apartment, so I would come over periodically, check on the kids. We might have sex sometime, but everybody in the apartment, everybody's running out the house, and I caught a guy over there one time. I knocked on the door. She's trying to hide a dude in the bathroom. Multiple occasions.
There was not no multiple occasions.
Guys.
You only seen one.
I only seen it one time, but everybody tell me.
Boom! Drama bomb dropped. Mr. Wilson catches another guy at Ms. Butler's place right when Nyona might have been made. This juicy bit shakes up the whole paternity claim Ms. Butler has been making.
Just been my past. Then the guys in the apartment telling me,
He just been thinking and guessing.
I ain't been guessing.
That's all he been doing.
People don't know me like that. They wouldn't lie to me. Man, your baby mama, man, she gonna have this dude, that dude, you know.
So, Mr. Wilson, what happened when you found out pregnant with Nyona?
I told her it wasn't my baby.
You gotta see this. The judge tackles the sad reality that Mr. Wilson isn't really playing dad to Nyona, pointing out how this could mess up the little one. This heart-to-heart is all about how important it is for a dad to be in the picture. The next clip is a real tearjerker, or maybe not.
What kind of relationship does she have with Mr. Wilson?
None at all. He don't really come by to see her. Nothing really.
Can't come by. Too many men running in and out. Can't come by. I'm scared to go over there. I took him from her house and moved him in with me. I didn't want them kids to be around that man.
So you have the two kids,
my 2 kids
with your last name.
Yeah.
It's crunch time. As we gear up for the big DNA reveal, the room's buzzing with tension. The judge lays down the law, schooling both parents on how they're messing up big time. And just when you think it can't get more intense, we're about to drop the big news.
We're gonna find out right now because I'm about sick of y'all. I really am. This is just so ragged.
Yeah, it is ragged.
No, it really is. And you sitting up in here just talking like you on a playground somewhere. No, what? And listen to me. Stomach growing instead of your mind.
Here comes the moment of truth. The results are in, and bam.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Wilson, you are the father.
Mr. Lillard spills the beans on why he had to drag this case into court, all because of a bombshell message last year from Ms. Holt's 20-year-old son, Delvin Holt. Ms. Holt vents about her 20-year struggle to get Mr. Lillard to step up and take responsibility for Delvin. The segment wraps up with the judge seeking confirmation on the day's agenda, and Ms. Holt is like, "Yep, that's the plan, Your Honor."
Mr. Lillard, you say you were forced to open this case after receiving a message last year from Ms. Holt's 20-year-old son, Delvin Holt. Ms. Holt, you say you have unsuccessfully tried for 20 years to get Mr. Lillard to accept responsibility for your son, Delvin, and today is the day he is finally going to accept the truth.
Yes. Mr. Lillard gets all nostalgic, revealing intimate details about his past. With Ms. Holt, turns out she was his first in a bunch of things. Cue the audience all. He reminisces about the love and heartbreak she brought into his life, sharing a glimpse into their deep yet rocky past.
I'm just saying, I had a lot of admiration for her, but it's also my first heartbreak, first person I really experienced what pain was. You know, it's not been no back and forth fighting over the years, it's been a very cordial thing. She made some mistakes that cost everybody a lot of pain right now, me and him.
Pain.
You know,
So to do with him.
Mr. Lillard uncovers the sticky mess of catching Ms. Holt cheating, sparking off a major drama. He tells a wild tale of skipping school and trekking 2 miles to confront her, culminating in a classic peek through the peephole moment.
Oh, this very sunny, bright day, decided not to be at school. I left school 2 miles to a family's home, knocked on their door, no answer.
Been
Looked
like
through the
that.
peephole, shadows moving all around.
No.
Tiptoeing towards the door. So I parked myself on that concrete
Your
steady
Honor.
Indians 4 or 5 hours till they had to come out.
It wasn't even in there that long, so you...
Amid a fiery back and forth about who did what and who saw whom, Ms. Holt tries to set the record straight that it was just a friend at her place, not a lover. The conversation hits a peak when she admits to also testing another dude for paternity, thickening the plot.
Yeah.
Who was in the house with you?
That was just a friend. We was not in there for no 4 hours. Maybe it was like 10,
I left
15
second
minutes.
period. Second period, that's early in the morning.
No, it was not.
So you got third period, fourth period, time, fifth period, and sixth period.
In this tearjerker segment kicking, Delvin steps into the spotlight to share his side of the story, talking about growing up without Mr. Lillard. His mom reinforces his belief about Lillard being the pops, priming us for some major revelations.
My mom has always told me he was my father. I just basically came here to let him know I don't need a father, but I just really want to come to find out if he is so I can have closure, me and my mom.
I mean, you can tell on the pictures. They look just alike. It's not a secret.
It really it hurt me a little bit. Any kid needs a father, you feel me?
The big reveal happens here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lillard, you are not the father.
Okay, baby.
Who was supposed to be my dad?
It's not Mr. Moore. I had already moved
But
on.
the
I
other
was very
guys
young.
that she says is father, I look nothing like.
And you don't
They
look
have
like
never
she
claimed
doesn't look
me.
like him either.
I look like
I've never kept secrets. I've always been honest to the best of my ability.
He left his phone in the Uber, downloaded the app on my phone, contact with his Uber. Tell the Uber driver I'll give him 100 if he has.
So you using your phone to get him an Uber, but you're using your phone to tell your boyfriend I'm running late, babe, I'm gas station?
Because by the time I found out, I was 4 months pregnant with her. You see what I'm saying? So there could be a list of whomever. It's the timing.
The list that is so missing out of my diary.
Really? The
Yeah,
list
that's
that you
missing out of my
fabricated, you got in the book?
Where's it at? It's gone.
Jennifer Robinson steps up to the plate, throwing a curveball at her mom, Kathleen Harms, accusing her of cooking up a paternity fraud stew. She's adamant that her mom got the name wrong on her birth certificate and insists that Mr. Moore is her real dad. This spicy opener sets the stage for an emotional roller coaster.
This case of Robinson v. Harm.
Ms. Robinson, you are suing your mother for paternity fraud and are here to prove that Mr. Moore is your biological father, even though your mother, another man's name on your birth certificate. Ms. Harris, you're certain Mr. Moore is not your daughter's father and claim her case of paternity fraud outrageous.
Yes.
Jennifer is not holding back, folks. She's all kinds of frustrated about how long it took to crack the case of her father's identity, pointing fingers at her mom for keeping the secret under wraps. She's been on a lifelong scavenger hunt for the truth, which apparently was not on her mom's priority list, deepening the plot and her sense of betrayal.
Honestly, Your Honor, I don't feel that I'm the one that waited 36 years. I feel that my mom waited 36 years to help find who my father is. I have always, tried to ask about my father. I guess it was a part of her she didn't just want to bring up, so it always got pushed to the back burner. Or I was told, get the hell out of her, leave her alone, don't ask any questions of who your dad is.
In a fiery face-off, Kathleen swears she's been an open book, while Jennifer accuses her of editing out some major chapters about her dad's identity. The tension is thicker than a mystery novel, revealing layers of family secrets and heated emotions.
Who was supposed to be my dad?
It's not Mr. Moore. I had already moved on.
But the
I
other
was very
guys
young.
that she says is father, I look nothing like.
And you don't
They
look
have
like
never
she
claimed
doesn't look
me.
like him either.
I look like
I've never kept secrets. I've always been honest to the best of my ability.
We were supposed to come here 3 weeks ago. My mom, for some reason, was nervous.
It wasn't that I was nervous. I just didn't want to come here at that time and listen to any more of their lies.
Jennifer whips out a birth certificate like it's a smoking gun, questioning whether the scribbles under father's name are legit. This piece of paper might as well be a treasure map, pointing to clues of forgery and deception, making everyone lean in a bit closer to their screens.
I think helps me prove that he's my father. First, I have
gray hair,
a birth certificate. On the father's spot, it has a signature. Now, when I looked at that, I seen that the signature looked new. It didn't look as old as my mom's, but I'm a kid, so I went along with it. Last year, I needed to get a new ID. So I go to get a new ID, and they told me that my original birth certificate was not good enough. I needed to get the new one.
Here comes Mr. Moore, striding in like he owns the place, ready to drop some bombshells of his own. He claims he's the daddy based on a history that includes more than a few close encounters of the intimate kind, adding a spicy twist to the already simmering pot. Keep your eyes peeled, because the truth serum is about to be administered administered.
Don't think you just a mess. He always told me he was my daddy.
You know, we're here for Jennifer, Miss Robinson, and she's indicated through her testimony that you believe you are her biological father. Do you?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
You do. Tell the court why.
Well, Your Honor, she used to babysit her sister's kid, and I used to go there a lot, and we were having sex a lot. It wasn't no little bit. It's true.
The moment of truth lands like a lead balloon.
It has been determined by this court. More, you are not her father.
Dude, who is my daddy?
Guess what just hit the fan? Ms. Luttrell spills the beans about her lifelong daddy dilemma, hoping she's cracked the code after a DIY DNA test. The judge lays down the law, prepping to sift through the evidence like a detective at a disco. Stick around, because it's about to get as wild as a squirrel at a nut factory.
This is a case of Luttrell versus Leaks.
Ms. Luttrell, you filed your case because you say after a lifetime of confusion of not knowing who your biological father is and receiving no help from your mother, you are now hopeful because you believe you have finally found your dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ready for a curveball wrapped in a mystery? Ms. Luttrell locks eyes with Mr. Leaks, the potential pops, for the very first time right in the courtroom. Their meeting is charged with more emotion than a soap opera finale, courtesy of Jerome's smooth moves.
I found him because I did a DNA test through Ancestry.com.
You have never met him?
No, I've never met him in person face to face.
Are you ready to see him for the first time?
Yes, I'm really excited. I really would like to.
Mr. Leak into the courtroom.
Hello, Mr. Leaks. Maybe go up here on the left-hand side.
Can you dig it? Ms. Luttrell digs into her tough childhood tales and the daddy vanishing act. Her stories are more tangled than headphones in your pocket, including a dad who went out for smokes and ghosted.
My childhood, pretty rough, growing up with my mom being a single mom. My whole life, I always wanted to know who my father was.
What were you told about your father?
As a young child, at around 8 years old, I was told that father had went to the store, apparently was to buy a cigarette, and he never came back. That was the first story my mother told me.
Throwing a wild card here, the judge dives into the daddy drama, questioning if one of several men could be the father. Ms. Melody Luttrell admits to past flings faster than a reality TV show plot thickens, mentioning a co-worker and a classmate.
Say there are 3 possible fathers, one of which was a co-worker.
Yes, we dated, we got familiar with each other, and then it ended up in intimacy.
Did you ever tell that person you were pregnant?
I didn't know how to contact, and I had moved as well.
You also say that there was a classmate.
Things are heating up. Ms. Luttrell lays out how she matched Mr. Leaks on Ancestry.com, kicking off a family tree treasure hunt. The courtroom feels more like a reunion as they puzzle out the pieces.
You were having sex with all these men and you didn't even get their phone number or know their full name or where they're from?
Well, they were like short relationships, so I didn't know really where they were.
What happened with Mr. Lee?
It was a party that had occurred in my neighborhood. I got to know somebody, I don't know if it's him, but somebody that could be her father at that party.
This twist could tie a pretzel. Mr. Leaks throws cold water on the party tale, claiming he never crashed that particular bash. His denial throws a wrench in the works, contradicting Mom's party animal anecdote.
Do you remember this party and this one-night stand?
No, I'm just looking at it right now thinking, okay, it's nice to meet you, but I was not at that party.
Were you ever at a party having sex with?
You know, if I have a child or anything like that, if I even know there's a chance I'll have a child, I'm sticking around. I'm not going anywhere.
You won't believe this bit. The judge reveals that back in the baby-making days, Mr. Leaks and Ms. Luttrell's mom were practically neighbors. Despite Mr. Leaks' party denials, the judge suggests they might have boogied at the same bash.
Where both of you would have been living during the window of, and the truth is you all didn't live far away from one another at that time. You were in Sacramento, Mr. Leaks, Ms. Luttrell, you were as well, about 14 minutes away from one another. So, I mean, it wouldn't be inconceivable to think you could have been at the same party.
I wasn't at no party.
Now for the moment of truth-ish. After soaking in all the soap opera-worthy details, the judge gives the green light for a DNA test. It's more anticipated than a finale cliffhanger.
When you walked into the courtroom, Mr. Leak, you were satisfied possibility that she could potentially be your daughter, which says to me, sex with somebody, and then there are family members of yours that it is not so far-fetched that he could be your father, and then you say, well, if I'm not her biological father, somebody in my family is, because she's just like my mother to me.
Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Leak, you are not father. I'm very sorry, Ms. Luttrell.
Opening shot. Can you even handle this? Ms. Pringle kicks things off with a bombshell as she hauls Mr. Brown to court, over denying he's the dad of their tiny tot, Tatiana. She's super stressed about him dodging daddy duties since day one. Buckle up to catch Mr. Brown's wild rebuttal.
Pringle, you open this case against Mr. Brown because you say he denied fathering your 18-month daughter, Tatiana. You state he has acted like she doesn't exist since the day she was born. You want Mr. Brown to step after today's result? Prove he is father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown's rebuff, Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Brown fires back, branding Ms. Pringle as the unfaithful one, and doubles down that Tatiana's real dad is some other dude. His bold refusal kicks the drama up a notch, complete with so-called medical proof. The emotional fireworks are just getting started.
Mr. Brown, you claim Ms. Pringle is a known cheater. Fathered the child in question with another man. You insist there is no way you are her daughter's father and have medical evidence to prove your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Heartbreak Alley. Grab your tissues. Ms. Pringle, in tears, lays out the loneliness of solo parenting, pointing fingers at Mr. Brown, the emotional whirlwind their daughter is caught in. As she makes her tearful plea to Mr. Brown, brace yourself for a revelation that'll throw another curveball into the mix.
It hurts really bad because I have to raise her on my own, and no child should go through that.
Can you look at Mr. Brown and tell him how much this hurts?
It hurts really bad that you're denying my daughter. She looks for you every day.
Bet you didn't see this one coming. Amidst the chaos, Ms. Pringle drops a truth bomb about a fleeting fling she had via a dating app, tossing even more spice into the paternity mystery stew. Hang tight as the saga of their rocky romance unfolds next.
I met someone on a dating site. We made out. That's what happened.
Or realized you were pregnant?
I went to a free clinic and I took the test and they said I had 4 weeks and 3 days.
Pregnant?
Yes.
And then you called Mr. Brown?
Yes, and I told him I was pregnant.
Oh, the drama thickens. Flashback to when Mr. Brown was all cheers about the pregnancy, only to hit the brakes and bail 2 months later. This plot twist digs deeper into the murky timeline of their love life. Stay tuned for an unexpectedly sporty demonstration.
He was happy and we were together for like 2 months and we broke up.
You were only happy for 2 months?
We didn't have sex at the time, like the conceiving time that she got pregnant, but we was broken.
At the conception time, you didn't have sex then?
No.
I don't know where he got his information from, but there's nobody but him.
We're going forensic. Both camps bring out the big guns with medical evidence trying to settle the paternity puzzle. As they move from teary tales to test tubes and DNA tests, get ready for a demo that might just crack a smile.
You say you both have medical evidence that proves your case. Ms. Pringle, you say you have medical evidence that proves Mr. Brown is Tatiana's biological father. And Mr. Brown, you say you have medical evidence that proves there is no way you can be Tatiana's biological father. Can you tell me about your medical evidence that says Mr. Brown is in fact her biological father?
This is hilariously heartwarming. In a goofy yet telling moment, Ms. Pringle and Jerome, the ever so helpful bailiff, break into squats. Why? They claim it's a quirky trait that Tatiana inherited from Mr. Brown. Watch on for a dive into medical mysteries that's quite the eyebrow raiser.
What is the squat?
Like when I'm fixing on something.
Let me see.
I can do that.
Jerome! Now, Jerome, if you can do this squat, that would then help Mr. Brown's case that it may not be hereditary. Jerome, now can you squat down there like that?
Exactly how.
Oh, shoot!
Twist. Adding a spin to the medical melee, Mr. Brown plays the asthma card, noting it's a family trait missing in Tatiana. This sparks a chat with Dr. Gator, who sheds light on whether asthma can really hint at paternity. The emotional appeals coming up are total heart-tuggers.
Okay, my medical evidence, I have asthma and it runs down in the family. My other kid has asthma.
Your other kid has asthma. How many other children you have?
I would have had 8.
Here comes the emotional climax. Ms. Pringle, in a raw outpour, begs Mr. Brown to step up as Tatiana's father, stressing not just the financial, but the deep emotional stakes. What's decided here could change their lives forever.
I want you to help me financially, emotionally, physically, to be there for her and show her what a guy shouldn't do to her when she grows up. You have to be there and teach her all these things.
The tension peaks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are the father.
Mr. Reyes kicks off with a bombshell, doubting he's the dad of the adorable 11-month-old Moon, who he's been parenting like a champ. He's pointing fingers at Ms. Prickett's ex as the potential bio-dad, stirring up a real soap opera scenario in the courtroom. Buckle up, because this baby drama is just getting started.
You've opened your case today because you doubt fathered Ms. Prickett's 11-month-old daughter, Moon. Raising Moon, but now believe you were duped and are certain her father is the defendant's ex-husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
In a twist worthy of a detective novel, Mr. Reyes demands a voice analysis test to check if Ms. Prickett has been playing the field. This high-tech truth quest aims to uncover whether there's been some behind-the-scenes action. Next up, the results are going to drop some jaws.
Additionally, you petitioned the court for a forensic voice analysis test to determine the extent of the defendant cheating.
Ms. Prickett firmly throws down the gauntlet, claiming Mr. Reyes is definitely Moon's dad and she's here to prove it, hoping to glue her family back together. She's all in, folks.
Ms. Prickett, you claim you are certain that the plaintiff is Moon's father and hope to prove it, save your family.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any spicier, Ms. Prickett drops the news of another bun in the oven. Mr. Reyes is sweating bullets over this latest plot twist as doubts and diapers pile up. Suspense is building. What's going to happen when the truth comes out?
I see she's currently pregnant,
Yes,
so this has to add to the stress. Mr. Reyes believes you're setting him up to raise a child that isn't his.
Joseph is definitely the father. I've never been unfaithful with him. He has a great bond with Moon. He is the father. This is insane that he even thinks that he's not.
Hold the phone. Ms. Prickett vanishes in the wee hours, only to say she was hashing things out with her ex. Mr. Reyes is having none of it, and frankly, neither is the courtroom. This mystery ride is about to go off the rails.
One of the things is that I woke up around 4 in the morning. She wasn't in the house and her car was gone from the driveway.
Well, it was actually 6 in the morning.
She got back at 6.
What
She could have been
Joe
gone for
has
hours.
to realize that I do have a child, my ex-husband. I felt like I needed to resolve issues with him.
In another you can't make this stuff up moment, Ms. Prickett is late because she supposedly turned into a good Samaritan at a gas station at midnight. Her story about a random dude, a full tank, and a crisp $100 bill sounds like a fishy fishtail.
I was working at a restaurant. She'd normally be there between 10 and 10:15. She said she was on her way and she stopped at a gas station. She was dodging my calls and my text messages. When I finally get a hold of her 2 hours later, this is around 12 a.m., she says that she was at the gas station. Random man randomly filled up her gas tank, asked her for a ride to his hotel, and then gave her $100.
Sneaking out to meet the ex at 5 a.m. and not a peep to Mr. Reyes sounds like a recipe for disaster, or at least for some serious side-eye from the judge. This segment is a real head-scratcher, and you'll be scratching yours too.
He left his phone in the Uber, downloaded the app on my phone, contact with his Uber. Tell the Uber driver I'll give him $100 if he meets us so I get my phone. He says, I'll give you another $100 for doing this for me. So I was like, I was trying to, get it in contact with the Uber.
So you using your phone to get him an Uber, but you're using your phone to tell your boyfriend I'm running late, babe, I'm gas station?
Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Reyes, you are the father.
So we kick off with Mr. Griffin spilling the beans right out the gate. He admits he had a not-so-little fling with his wife's stepsister, Mrs. Richmond, while still hitched. Mrs. Richmond, on her part, isn't buying that she and Mr. Griffin cooked up a daughter together, and she's here to prove him wrong. As the gavel goes down, everyone braces for a roller coaster of family drama.
You were a married man who had a 2-year affair with your wife's stepsister. That relationship produced a daughter, but Miss Richmond claims you are not the daughter's biological father. Lakeisha is here to support your claim. Miss Richmond, you admit to the affair with Mr. Griffin, but say the plaintiff is not your daughter's biological father, and you plan to prove that in court today.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, hold on to your popcorn. Mr. Griffin drops the bomb that he's been a bit naughty, calling his 2-year fling with his sister-in-law a dishonest mistake. Talk about a whoopsie. The judge isn't letting this slide and grills him on the nature of his so-called mistake, making it clear we're not just talking spilled milk here.
Honest mistake, Your Honor, but at the same...
Wait, now there wasn't no mistaken identity. You knew it was wife's sister.
No, I'm talking about me doing what I did.
Was it an honest mistake or a dishonest mistake?
Dishonest mistake.
How long did this mistake
It lasted, I'd say, about 2 years.
2 years?
I know a year.
This wasn't no mistake. This was a decision.
Exactly.
Here comes a tender moment, folk, or awkward, depending on how you see it. Mrs. Richmond reminisces about the time she told Mr. Griffin he might be the daddy. She paints a picture of him playing sim with the baby, holding her up to the light as if he's expecting a divine sign or something. This scene really lays the feels on thick, with more "Are you the daddy?" moments on the horizon.
He came over to my house, picked her up, and he went up on the stairs and he, put her up to the light and he said, yeah, she could be mine. And that was the last we ever discussed him seeing her, actually, of me and him and about her being.
I never seen.
Coming to that part.
Miss Richmond Tykia, you're asserting in court that you have not seen Mr. Griffin?
I've seen him one time when I was like 14 in my life. I spoke to him first time on the phone.
And just when you think you've got the plot, the script flips. The court's all muddled up with he said, she said about a DNA test. Mrs. Richmond swears the test booted Mr. Griffin from the daddy role, while he remembers getting a "congratulations, it's a girl" kind of result. Grab your detective hats because we're about to play Who's Your Daddy? Detective Edition.
She was young, because if it wasn't my daughter, why would the reason she come and tell me that she was pregnant?
You weren't together during the pregnancy?
After I got married, we never had too much contact because I got a relationship with another gentleman.
You didn't want to.
While you were pregnant with his child?
Hardly see each other.
She was trying to hide wife. I'm a stepsister.
So, Mr. Griffin, how did you tell your wife that you got her sister pregnant?
I didn't.
Cue the violins as Tykia steps up and shares how this whole daddy dilemma has been a real bummer. Growing up not knowing if Mr. Griffin is her pops. It's a real tearjerker as she talks about the missing pieces in her family puzzle. But dry those eyes, there's a plot twist coming up that's straight out of a telenovela.
When I was like in high school, I got a message on MySpace from Keisha. Just a long little thing saying, I think you're my sir, and I'm just like who is this girl?
First got the message, were you overwhelmed with emotion, or did you?
I just thought she was crazy because of what my mom say.
Oh, because your mom had told you?
All I know is what my mom said.
All right, things take a somber turn here. Tykia shares a heart-wrenching story about her hubby's tragic accident, which happened on the same day she skipped a family wedding. It's a real downer, especially with her feeling all cut off from the Griffin clan. But keep those tissues handy, as we're not out of the woods yet. There's a moment of truth coming that might just patch up some broken hearts.
One of the other sisters, Griffin sisters, her wedding was May 21st, 2011. He invited me and my husband believed I looked like some of the other sisters. He was like, yeah, we should go. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I like the other people, like my sister and my mom, they're like, I don't think they're your family, so why go all the way to Michigan?
Get ready for some serious family feels. The judge nudges Mr. Griffin to give a fatherly pep talk to Tykia if he really believes she's his. It's a touching scene, sort of like a come to Jesus moment, but with more legal jargon. And just when you think you've seen it all, get ready for the grand finale, DNA results.
I want you to look across the aisle right now. This is a woman, you say this is your daughter. And I want you to turn to your daughter right now, if you believe this is your daughter. And I'd like for you to tell the court, and more importantly, how you recognize what she feels.
I'm sorry, your husband, and I wish that I had been there for you. I'm sorry for not being there for you.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Griffin, you are not her father. 32 years of thinking you were this woman's father.
Can you even handle this? Ms. Myers strides into court with her mom, Ms. Madrigal, to solve the mystery of who her real dad is. She's frustrated because her mom handed her a list of 13 potential dads, like it's some kind of bizarre guessing game. Strap in, because this soap opera is just getting started.
Ms. Myers, you have brought your mother, Ms. Madrigal, to court today because she has no idea who your biological father is. You say your mother gave you a list of 13 possible men, and you are hoping to determine who your father is today.
Things just got spicier. It comes out that Ms. Myers got drip-fed names of possible dads over a whole year, turning her life into a real-life Maury episode. This bombshell has left her with more daddy issues than a daytime drama. You gotta see what's up next. It's a doozy.
And so, at 13 years old, how did you find out there were potentially 13 different men that could be your father?
The list came from my mom telling me over approximately a year, maybe a little longer. She would always just say, you know, here's a name. I think to her it seemed like it was a joke.
Grab your tissues, folks. Ms. Myers spills her guts about how tough it was growing up without a dad, feeling all kinds of lost and mixed up. This moment is more loaded than a Thanksgiving turkey. But wait, there's more heartache ahead.
I feel lost. You know, I feel confused. I don't know who I am. I don't know my hair. I don't know what I'm completely mixed with. I don't know where I
For me,
Yeah, I
doesn't
knew
matter.
you're half of the
Doesn't
family,
matter.
but that's only half
Nobody
the story.
else matters.
That's
Can't
only
no
half
man,
the story.
Can't no man raise me better than you can't, though. It doesn't even matter.
You
So
raised me?
save it. Oh, I raised you.
No, you didn't. You weren't
Monica,
even there.
stop
So
it.
anyway.
All right, buckle up. The court rolls up its sleeves to get down to the business of figuring out who the real daddy is, testing 2 of the lucky 13 contenders. This is where the rubber meets the road. Brace for impact, because the drama level is about to skyrocket.
You gotta realize I was 17. So any calculation with time, I could have been way off and not known. Because by the time I found out, I was 4 months pregnant with her. You see what I'm saying? So there could be a list of whomever. It's the
Now
timing.
The list that is so missing out of my diary.
Really? The
Yeah,
list that
that's
you
missing out of my
fabricated, you got in the book?
Where's it at? It's gone.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Mr. McCraney drops a bombshell about his brief fling with Ms. Madrigal that might have led to Ms. Myers' arrival on planet Earth. It's like a plot twist in a bad rom-com. Stick around, because the tears are just about to flow.
I also found out, Your Honor, that when she left my house to another man's house,
Sure did.
and the same
Sure
thing
did.
happened the same day.
Yeah. This wasn't planned. Friend was
Your
going there
Honor,
to meet up
her
with his
and the
cousin.
same friend
That's
that
how
was
it
at
happened.
my house, his house. That's how I know it was the same day.
I was 13 and I was going into 14.
Your mother, Ms. Madrigal, stated that you the weekend at one of his girlfriend's house.
Oh boy, here it comes. Ms. Myers completely loses it, overwhelmed by all the family drama and secrets spilling out all over the courtroom floor. It's sadder than a bowl of melted ice cream. But hold your horses. The big reveal is up next, and it's a humdinger.
Because I shouldn't have to go through this. I'm 26 years old with my own. I
Doesn't
shouldn't
matter
have to go
because
through
I'm
this
your mama and I'm the next one what I've been.
So
You
I'm
tell these
not
people what
hearing
you
it.
want. They don't live in my shoes. I raised you and I raised you. So all this other doesn't
you
even matter. I would die for you, so stop the rest.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats. The big moment hits when the DNA test results are about to be dropped like a hot potato. This could go any way, folks. The suspense is eliminating us.
When it comes to Miss Monica Myers, Mr. Keith McCraney, it has been determined by this court that you are the father.
There it is.
Faint, Mr. McCraney?
I
I don't believe that at all.
Whoa.
No.
All right.